Hello and welcome to another limited video here on CheapAssMTG. I'm going to be playing a sealed league today. I generally enjoy sealed a little less than draft, but I think it is really important if you want to, if you want to play at GPs or you want to play some PTQs or whatever. They're going to be sealed, so it's a pretty important skill. And I think it is a pretty separate skill actually from draft. There's some pretty significant differences. Playing a little bit of sealed recently, trying to get better at it, and so I'm excited to dive into this league today. See what we open up here. Okay, so let's start by sorting by rarity. Okay, so we've opened up some free mythics. Tree of Perdition, I think, is probably quite mediocre. It's awesome with what's it called? Soul. The one that you get a 1/1 token with the ability. That's the sweet combo, but we don't have that card, and it's kind of mediocre. Grim Flare is obviously excellent if you're in green-black. The card selection is really nice. It gets you to Delirium, and once you're at Delirium, it's a 4/4, which is awesome. And Relentless Dead is really very good. There's quite a lot of stuff in the format which does remove it, like all the enchantment removal and whatever is pretty effective. Having said that, it's very, very good with like sacrifice outlets and stuff. So that's very nice. You can pull it off. Double black is quite problematic though, and obviously, ideally, you want to play it and have a black up, which is pretty challenging to do. Spirit of Hunt, great if you have some wolves, and even if you don't, it's a 3/3 flash for free, which is awesome. Stitcher's Graft is, I think, not great. It's certainly very good if you have any vigilance guys though. That's quite a nice combo. So like the 3/2 vigilance for free in green is quite nice with it. Prized Amalgam is generally just a 3/3 for free, with some exceptions like Haunted Dead and Stitchwing Scarb. But anyway, we've got seeing some decent black and green here. Relentless Dead, Grimflayer, Spirit of Hunt could all certainly go in the same deck, which is nice. So I'm now going to sort by colour. I'm going to go through and take out the unplayables first, such as these three Freeman standard bearers. Long Road Home, I think, is just about playable, but not great. Bound by Moonsilver is excellent. Father's Companion, fine. Choking Restraints is very good. Courageous Outrider is very good. Okay, so we've got like sort of 3 very good white cards, including 2 removal spells. But the rest of white is pretty weak, to be honest. It certainly can't be a primary colour. It could potentially be splashed, I think. Now, if we look at blue, turn aside, I think probably still isn't main deckable and sealed. It's certainly better than it is in draft, I think. I'm very unlikely to main deck Fogwalker, I think. Jace's Scrutiny is very good, though. Fine, Unsubstantiate, not great. Genius Scarb is very good. Stitch Mangle is quite good, but again, blue's not looking super strong here. It's just not a huge amount of depth, and a lot of these, we have some good tempo spells here, but it's quite hard to build a sort of aggressive tempo-y deck in sealed. A card like Tattered Haunter, for example, which can't block, I'd be pretty reluctant to play in sealed. So let's move on to black, which we saw we had a strong green-black mythic, and Relentless Dead is pretty good. It's got Dusk Feaster, which is quite good. Ruthless Disposal is excellent. 2 Midnight Scavengers, Tree of Perdition, 2 Succumb to Temptations, which I guess probably get a little better, and a fine card anyway. I imagine they're a little better in sealed than in draft. Murder is obviously fantastic. Boon of Emrakul is very good. Take out some of these unplayables. I'm not going to play a Merciless Resolve given I have 2 Succumb to Temptation. Relentless Dead, obviously very good. Ooh, so we do have 1 Graph Rat to go over these 2 Midnight Scavengers. And the Liver's Goon's a fine discard outlet. Okay, so black's looking pretty strong between Relentless, Dead, Murder, Ruthless Disposal, Boon of Emerald, Dusk Vista. It's a pretty strong colour we've got there. So let's move on to red. See 3 Borrowed Hostility, which is like a fine combat trick. Galvanic Bombardment, obviously very efficient removal. I'm not going to play a Prophetic Raving. So it's got a lot of combat tricks. Range 12, Distemper of Blood isn't really playable. Fury Blade Vampire, I can't imagine getting a... The thing is, in Sealed, you're much less likely to get sort of good synergy decks. So cards like Fury Blade Vampire, which require you to have like a bunch of Madness cards or whatever, become a lot worse, just because you can't draft a bunch of Madness cards, you just get what you open. So yeah, I think this really isn't a playable card in Sealed. Mythic Colour and Ulric's Kindred are both fine though. So red looks decent, fairly aggressive. Got efficient removal and cheap combat tricks. And like Deranged Whelp is actually quite a good 2-drop. I generally don't want to be drafting sort of all-in aggro decks and playing all sort of very all-in aggro decks in Sealed. People are playing more removal, people have more bombs, and you're less likely to get like enough 2-drops and whatever to make it work. So let's look at green, take out some of these unplayables. Dire Swine's fine, Werewolf is pretty good. Fireless we've got for Wolf. Ullenwald Mysteries is very good. Bloodfire could be decent in the right deck. Or Rabid Bite also very good. Quilled Wolf's decent. Okay, so I think we can safely say we should look at, so we've also got an Emerge Mockery of Nature guy and a Vexing Scuttler for blue. The It of a Horrid Swarm, sure. And this Stitcher's Graft. Okay, so I think black is our strongest colour because it has really good removal. And I think green and red are both decently strong. I think white is quite shallow. And blue is like mediocre. My first inclination is to try and build a green-black deck. Because I think our red is decent, but it has decent cards in it, but they all want to be in an aggressive deck, which is quite unlikely that we can really make. So first thing I'm going to try out is green-black. The nice thing about Magic Online Sealed Leagues is that you just get to build a bunch of decks and switch between them. So stuff like sideboarding obviously makes it much easier. Okay, Tree of Tradition, I'm actually not sure is even playable. Just as a wall. I mean, it could certainly be a very good sideboard card. Against like a Werewolves deck, for example, it could be quite decent. But just a 0-13 blocker on the ground isn't that good. And the ability, putting your opponent to 13 life, not that helpful. I suppose, in theory, if you could sort of give it +1/+1 and then give it -13/-13 from Ruthless Disposal, that would be pretty sweet, but quite hard to pull off. Okay, what green have we got? So I think It's of a Horrid Swarm is definitely main deckable. Mockery of Nature, I'm not that sure about. It's very good against like Choking Restraints or Sleep Paralysis, something like that, but I'm not sure you necessarily want it in the main. Unwalled Mysteries is excellent. Spirit Front's decent. Got some other wolves as well to go with it. Probably play a Kessig Dire Swine. We may even play this Woodcutter's Grip. It's a way to protect our big creatures. Oh, and this Grimflayer, obviously. Not sure we necessarily want Woodcutter's Grip. Let's see. Okay, so this all looks pretty good to me. I like having one of these, like either a Cemetery Recruitment or Macabre Waltz in my black decks. Just because it's a really powerful late game play when you've got powerful creatures like Dusk Feast or It's the Horrid Swarm in your deck. We are going to struggle a little to get Delirium. So we have instants, sorcerers, and creatures are fine. We've got like one enchantment. And we really have no way at the moment to get lands into our graveyard. Other than Grimflayer, I suppose. If we can get an early Grimflayer that connects, it obviously becomes a lot easier. But the thing is, if you draw this card late, it's much harder to get through with it. And we don't have a bunch of combat tricks in our deck, which can force it through. I suppose that might be a reason to play this Woodcutter's Grit. I'm not sure if I want to succumb to temptations. That might be a little much. So maybe we cut one of those for Woodcutter's Grit. We need to make one more cut, even if we do that. I think Kessig Dice Wine is good enough, just a 6-mana 6/6, which occasionally tramples. Backwards Survivalist, I think, is equally fine. Bloodbriar, I think, is just about good enough with like It of the Horrid Swarm and what if we sack out that? Oh yes, Ruthless Disposal in our deck. We do also have a True Faith Sensor here, it's worth noting. I think this basically isn't good enough in a deck like this. Basically, you can make a really big blocker. That I don't think that's good enough. We're at like Vigilance Creature or something. And if we flip this, we're probably winning anyway. Is there anything we want to cut, or do we just not want this Woodcutter's Grip? I think Livia's Dragoon is like okay. Can also enable Delirium at a pinch if we just want to pitch a land. It's kind of nice that it can enable it at instant speed for Grimflayer as well. Yeah, maybe we just keep it like this then. I think we do want one Succumb to Temptation. Quite like having one, draw two. It's quite awkward with this card that it's double black, but I think it's still worth playing. Oh, we could also play this Warped Landscape, actually. So generally I don't like putting one of these in my deck, but given we have a Bloodbriar and we have a few cards which care about Delirium, and we have like double black and double green in our deck, it might be alright. Maybe go like 8/8 and play one of these. I think there's like just enough going on with this that it might be okay. Okay, I think we're just gonna run this like we could build red black, but I really don't like the look of it. Like the removal just is too conditional of the reduced rashes, which is expensive. And I think our other colours are just too shallow. So I'm going to run this for game one and see how that goes. I'll see you back for round one.